Hello and welcome back to another video. I'm Zelp, and today it's more like just an update video telling you guys what I've done so far. So yesterday a guy called Malpaka dropped by Discord. He saw my spreadsheet, he analyzed it, and he found like some easier ways to make it a little bit more automatic, to make it more user friendly, and he gave me suggestions. Now I'm not like some spreadsheet pro. I know some of the basics. So what he suggested was something a little bit more advanced, which I did not know of, and then I started studying it, I learned about it, and then I tried implementing it on my own spreadsheet. So in short, what was kind of given to me was a way to move information from one sheet to another. So before, you guys would like go to the calculator part and then get that information and then put it in a different box, and then get the other information, put it in a different box, things like that, right? And then you go over to the other side, get that multiplier, and then I'll put it over here. So now we have everything, well, at least most of everything, in one spreadsheet. All you have to do is just fill in all the orange boxes, and then it will calculate it. It will actually send the information, like for example fire rate. It's going to send this fire rate information to the spreadsheet that calculates fire rate, and then it will use that information and then calculate the final speed multiplier. As long as you put in the values in, then it will pop out over here, and then at the end it's going to calculate its total multiplier, and then you can tell if it's better or if it's worse. So just to give you an example, if I put here 6 fire rate, which is 6 bullets per second, if I come over here it turns into 6 as well. Now I've always knew that there was this sort of like function for spreadsheet, because back when I was doing engineering work in Singapore, I used the Excel a lot. So I feel like Google spreadsheet is pretty much somewhat mimicking the Microsoft Excel, and I feel like most of the things that they can do, you know, Google can do as well. So I've always knew about it, but I never really took the time to learn it because I don't even know what is it called. Turns out it's called indirect. So yeah, so hopefully with this whole newfound method, we can do our calculations a lot more conveniently and also quicker. So let me just quickly go through what the color coding means so far in my spreadsheet. The orange one is the things that are information that you want to put in. So anything that's orange, you put it in. If it's 0, just leave it blank. You can also put 0, it doesn't really matter. And then anything else, just don't touch it, because you're not supposed to put in information. Now greens are usually things that you want to pay attention about, because maybe you need to use it somewhere else, the information. So for example, our final multiplier that you want to use to compare, this is in green, so maybe you want to copy it out and paste it out so that you can use it to compare with a different build that you will later change over here. The blues are sort of like a more solid value that there's no reason for changing. Like it has to be that you're not going to use it, but then it's just there to show you in case you want to do some troubleshooting, or if you're just curious, you can see. And finally we have the pink ones. The pink ones are the one that pulls their value from somewhere else. So if you see this attack speed and you don't know why that is, look for the spreadsheet that says attack speed, and then you can see that so these are values that's also being pulled because they are pink, and they're being pulled from over here where you first put in. And then based on that, it does all the different calculation, which I explained in my last video, and then gave you a speed multiplier. And from here, it gets pulled back into this part. So it's way more convenient. You don't have to go to each individual spreadsheet, find out what's the multiplier, come back over here and key in manually. Everything is kind of like automated. The only problem that I still have is viral. Now Malpaka, the guy that introduced me to this method, he actually wanted me to use the method to get the range, right? But I still don't really know how to do that yet. I'm still figuring out. I know simple things like pulling certain values from one box to another. I know how to identify the strings and stuff. But one of the reasons why I haven't really got into it to find the range is because there is one more step that I kind of want to do. And that's the reason why I needed to do the attack speed, because I want to change the status to become status versus time instead of status per hit. Now, just a very vague reasoning, and there's a lot more other reasons, like because of the expiry, which we can actually use if we have status over time instead of status per hit. Because if you think about it, how many procs you can do depends on how many hits you can do, depends on how fast you can do it before it expires. Because otherwise, if it starts expiring, then you won't be able to keep up that amount of status. Now I'm going to explain a little bit more in the next video, but the general idea is that status per hit does work, especially if you are calculating for the first few hits. That is more than enough to use its multiplier. But then when it comes to more than a certain number of hits, or maybe let's say you're shooting the same enemy for more than 6 seconds and then you start having those expiry stuff, then you really want to look at status per second. So right now I haven't finished thinking of how I'm gonna do it, but then I kind of have a rough idea, and I'm going to try to make this into a status per time as well. So anyways, once we figure out status over time and turn it into a multiplier for our calculator, I'll look into more on the range, selecting and summing up and stuff like that to make it even more automated, and hopefully it'll be even better. Now, some few things to look forward to is that we still have a lot of status that we can actually put in and different multiplier. I feel like all of the DOT type like slash, heat, electric, gas, toxin is very straightforward. I feel like the moment we solve one, we kind of solve them all. Corrosive is going to be the hard one. I've been thinking about co-proc as well. Does it still prolong the DOT damage of certain DOT? Let me know down in the comments. I haven't really tested it recently, but in the past it used to work. Other things that we can also implement over here is probably, health modifiers or armor modifiers. Since technically you're required to put in the damage type, we can also just use that and find out how much exactly the damage is going to be on a certain enemy with certain health type. But I feel like that is a little bit more confusing and also very tedious, so maybe we will dial it down a little bit. But looking back at this part, the status weight, this is also really important for your viral, and it's also really important for all your other status. And I don't really know how to automate this as well. One of the reasons is because right now we have elements here and we really don't know what kind of elements we're going to put in unless we know where to send it. So we might actually make this even longer to put in all the different types of elements that you might want to calculate for a multiplier. And finally, I also want to point out that in my last video where we talk about fire rate, I forgot to include another thing that will affect your overall attack speed multiplier, which is magazine size. So we do have mods that can increase the magazine size, and by increasing the magazine size, you basically have more shots before you start reloading, and therefore that will actually increase your DPS as well. So we didn't do any example, but I've already implemented the magazine size thing into the equation. So if you look at attack speed over here, the multiplier is 0.52. If I increase the magazine size by, let's say, 100%, then you can see that the ratio or the multiplier actually increases as well. So it's already embedded in it. It's just that I didn't really talk about it. So basically for the magazine size, like when you are calculating the clip duration, you divide it, you take the magazine size, divide by the fire rate. And that's what I pretty much do, but this time, because of the mod, it increases the capacity of the magazine size. So I'm using the new capacity of the magazine size to do this simple calculation, which is the clip duration over here. So it will be taking the new magazine size, which is after having the size increased by any mods, and do your calculation. So it's really just that simple, just that small little part that you have to add in case you want to build your own calculator. At least you know how. So yeah, basically for most of you now, you just need to come to the first page, put in the values, and you can get this. Except for the viral still requires you to manually do some stuff. If you don't know what to do, you might need to go back to my older video. I think I'll try and put an embedded link maybe over here, right, so that you can see that video on how to use it. It is still kind of tedious, but things are going to change, so I recommend that you just wait a little while and see what we can come up for viral. Maybe you can make it even easier for it to use, or maybe there might be a little bit of a tweak on how we're going to actually get the viral multiplier after we have status over time. and maybe you can see which one is actually better. And for all we know, we might even scrap the whole status per hit thing. Now I've been wanting to do giveaways, but I just couldn't really come up with ideas to do the giveaways based on. So we have done, you know, fashion frame stuff. I think that was one of the few that we did in the last few giveaways. But lately, because of the time constraint and my videos being fairly long already, it's hard for me to announce a giveaway as well. So for today, I'm going to say that we're going to do a giveaway. You kind of have to earn it. There is a competition or event kind of involved, and what you need to do is something that I haven't even figured out yet. I know that it's possible. I have a really rough, fuzzy idea in my mind. I just haven't write it out yet, and I don't really know how it would actually turn out. But what you need to do is find a way to calculate multiplier for corrosive and DOT damage. Rather it's slash, heat, electric, gas, toxin, any DOT will do, and present it. And then share it either at the comments down below or at the Discord. Now it's a lot easier if you do it on the Discord. We have a Warframe lobby that you can paste your ideas on how to get that multiplier there. So yeah, that's the contest, which will also be helping me with my next video, is basically find a way to come up with a multiplier for corrosive or DOT damage. So it can be either one. If you want to do corrosive, go ahead, do corrosive. If you want to do status, you can DOT, you can go do a DOT. At the end of the day, depending on how many submissions, we might choose a few winners that did the explanation the best. But do keep in mind that this event will only last for about 1.5 days. Okay, so the winner is going to be announced day after tomorrow. It's not going to be easy. I have a feeling not a lot of you are going to get it, but if you really want the glyph, this is one way that you can earn it. Now, to be honest, I don't think that the glyph is really that nice. I feel like it's a little bit too cute to be serious, and it's a little bit too serious to be cute. It's if anything, I feel like the glyph just tells people that you're somewhat of a certified nerd, which I for one don't mind being. Now with that said, Malpaka, which helped a lot in making this a lot more simplified, automated, and also easy, friendly to use, I would like to give you a glyph as well. I feel like just the fact that I never asked for it, but you came over to my Discord and sharing something that is somewhat valuable in making this spreadsheet even better, I would like to reward you with my glyph as well. So PM me on Discord to claim it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.